Scott just made
Go
the
back to
point.
Thomas
Just
Jefferson,
yesterday.
you'll
used to
read
be a
that.
lot more secure, not just.
The U.S. Department of Homeland Security employs 240,000 people with an annual budget of more than $61 billion and a mission that includes preventing terrorism and enhancing security, managing our borders, and enforcing and administering immigration laws. But a young married couple came home from the Hajj to San Bernardino, California, and pulled off the worst terrorist attack on U.S. soil since 9/11, and nobody saw it coming. I'm PJTV's Scott Ott, joined now by Bill Whittle and Stephen Green. Men, a Muslim bride-to-be with a history of making radical statements on social media advocating jihad can undergo 3 background checks and still get a K-1 fiancé visa. That's because Homeland Secretary Jay Johnson, concerned for the civil liberties of people like our blushing burqa bride, explicitly ordered his department to stand down when it comes to social media searches on visa applicants. Well, at the time, John Cohen, the former acting undersecretary for intelligence and analysis at DHS, objected. The primary concern was that it would be viewed negatively if it was disclosed publicly. And there were concerns that it would be embarrassing, Cohen said in an interview broadcast on Good Morning America this week. Cohen said that he and others were deeply disappointed that the senior leadership would not approve a review of what were publicly posted online messages. Now, Stephen Green, you're a civil libertarian of the highest order. Certainly you can understand Jay Johnson's concerns. Do you really want your government prying into Facebook postings, sometimes set on private, on the remote chance that they might discover a thumbs up icon with an Allahu Akbar under a photo of an ISIS beheading?
Well, a couple of things. One, to contradict maybe something you said in your intro there, she did not undergo 3 background checks because they didn't fully vet her background. What they did was they try to make other Americans feel better about it. It's like you ever see the pedestrian button on the traffic signal? That button isn't actually connected to anything. I pressed those things 100 times and it doesn't seem to make the signal change to walk any faster. But the button's there, you feel better because you think that change sign's going to change from don't walk to walk a little sooner. Now it's not hooked up to anything. There's no wires in there. So that's what the background check is. It's the pedestrian button that you can press that all day and all night, and the signal's going to do what the signal wants. So yeah, we let people in because we don't actually check them. The other thing is it's called social media. It's not called private communications. Anything you put on social media is public. I don't care if there's a privacy setting or anything like that. You're putting it out there on somebody else's servers, unencrypted. It is public, maybe a little less public, maybe a little more public depending on your settings, but it's out there. The only real private communication is face-to-face, and even then it's only going to be really private if you're under the Maxwell Smart cone of silence. And one final thing. You know, we have spy agencies. We're supposed to have spy agencies. They're supposed to spy on other people or when our people make a phone call or a posting overseas. That is completely legitimate spying. It's called protecting the nation. And our intelligence networks, our spies, completely fail us on a regular basis because of this political correctness.
Steve, you just gave me a great idea. The first step in the visa application process should be that anybody who wants a visa into the United States should have to friend Jay Johnson on Facebook. I think if you friend the DHS secretary, that would be the starting step, and you have to put him in your intimate circle of friends. Bill Whittle, no one was more concerned than you about the U.S. government using its snooping powers to sweep up private communication on a broad scale. Can you understand Homeland Secretary Johnson's desire to protect privacy and, frankly, to welcome new people to a country where the First Amendment and the Fourth Amendment still mean something?
They've got it exactly backwards, Scott. They're monitoring virtually every American's communications. There's not like guys listening to it, but it's being recorded, and the computers search it, and if a keyword comes up, then they go in and listen to it. And they're not monitoring the people who are dangerous. You know, I'm kind of old school about this. That's what the Fourth Amendment is for. If he was worried about hurting people's feelings, I think it's the way you handle this, the way you handle anything else that works so well for 250 years. You know, you see a post out there, it's a public post, or somebody you have a connection to, you have a suspicion of, you go to a judge, and you get a judge to make a decision and write a warrant to take a look at this stuff. I don't know why this is so hard. You know, we're listening to and monitoring probably, certainly millions, if not billions of communications a week without any of these due process laws for everybody. But when we have people who we know are potential threats, we can't go through this simple procedure. And what Steve said about it being a public thing is absolutely right. And I'll close with this, you know. We've been told if you see something, say something. And then shortly thereafter, the Attorney General of the United States says, but if you say something bad about Muslims, we're going to throw you in jail. So, you know, isn't our entire theory of government the idea that it's the individuals and the citizens who take action, that everything the government does badly? I think if these are public Facebook posts, I think it's up to the American people to just poke around. And if you see somebody saying, hey, I think ISIS is swell, you should fill out a report and send it to the FBI. And if they don't act on it, then I think they need to be held accountable. I think somebody needs to say, hey, this person is talking about blowing up a school in Nebraska, and they're saying they think ISIS is swell, and I think you need to take a look at this. So since Facebook is public, why don't we let the American citizens comb through Facebook and decide what we find to be dangerous?
Well, despite 250,000 employees spending about $250,000 per employee each year, we have once again learned that the Department of Homeland Security secures little but its own ever-growing budget. Worse, we've learned that the Obama administration, which has run roughshod over the rights of individual citizens and of domestic political groups, actually had a policy of see no evil when it comes to surfing Facebook, Twitter, and the like to discover if a foreign visa applicant has a death wish that involves us. We've gone from, as Bill points out, Homeland Security slogans like if you see something, say something, to a departmental ban on seeing something, and warnings from the President and the Attorney General against saying some things. Listen, the truth is, the government cannot protect you. Our first line of defense was, is, and remains you and me. And our slogan? Get ready to do something. So when you see something, you won't spend your final moments cowering under something or pushing something against a door. For Bill Whittle, Stephen Green, and the entire Trifecta crew at pjtv.com, I'm Scott Ott.